In my last video, I covered just what the heck is a Flatpak. In that video, I explained that they are universal Linux packages that can be installed on any Linux distribution. If you want to know more than that about Flatpaks, make sure to go check out that video. What I didn't explain in that video, though, was just how to use Flatpaks. I wanted to make sure that I did a separate video discussing how to use Flatpaks to make sure I gave it the attention that it does deserve. This is B from Taytog Tech, and today I'm going to show you how to use Flatpak, so stick around. I have a favor to ask. If you like this type of video and want to see more content like it, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications. Also, don't forget to give this video a like if you like it. Let me know what you liked, didn't like, or if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or emotional outbursts down in the comments below. And lastly, make sure to stick around all the way to the end to get the most out of this video. Let's do this thing. All right, so the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to go ahead and shrink my face down. All right, there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and start talking about using Flatpaks. Now, I am using an Ubuntu desktop virtual machine here, local on my MacBook using UTM. And I used Ubuntu for a very specific reason. And that reason is that Ubuntu does not have Flatpaks installed by default. The reason behind that is because Ubuntu has their own competing product called Snap Packages that serve the exact same function. So they have that installed by default and not Flatpak. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and actually install it on Ubuntu. Now, a lot of other distributions that are not Ubuntu based actually have Flatpaks installed by default, which is a good example of that is going to be Fedora. Now, one of the things you'll want to keep in mind is as we're going through these commands, which is going to be the Flatpak command. It's just going to be Flatpak. That's going to be the command. The command is going to be slightly different depending on the distribution. So I'm going to be using it based here on what I know about Ubuntu, and then I may throw in little tidbits here about what I know about Fedora. So just keep that in mind that it may be slightly different. If you're just kind of not really sure what to do, just give it a tac help. And then that would be able to give you the information you need. But we don't have it installed yet, so I'll show that to you once we get it installed. So let's clear this out. The first thing that we're going to have to go ahead and do is we can do a sudo apt update. It's going to ask us for the password for sudo, and everything should be pretty much up to date. Yep, there's one package that needs to be upgraded, but we're not worried about that. So let's clear this out. We're going to do sudo apt install, and then we're going to do Flatpak. And it's going to ask us, do we want to go ahead and install Flatpak along with its dependencies? We're going to give it a yes. Shouldn't take too long to go ahead and get installed here. There we go. It is now installed. And as promised, Flatpak tac help is going to give us the help menu for Flatpaks. Now, I'm not going to go through this. That's a lot of information, but I did want to go ahead and show that to you so that you know how to use it. And that's typically how you're going to access just simple help menus for those commands is you can do either a tac help, or if that one doesn't work, you can do a tac help. Sometimes both of them work. So all right, so now what we want to go ahead and do is we want to go ahead and see if there are any remote repositories to actually access, because that's how Flatpak is going to work. There's going to be a repository just as there are on your system for it to actually access them from. So let's go ahead and just do Flatpak. We're going to type in remotes, and we can see that there is nothing. It's because none of them are installed yet, which is fine. Now, the most common repository for Flatpaks is going to be is called FlatHub. One of the things I want to point out here is with Fedora, they actually do their own version of this repository, so it's going to be slightly different than the base FlatHub one. Just like I said a minute ago with the actual command itself, so just keep that in mind. What I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to go ahead and paste in the command for adding them, and I'm going to explain this command. So we're of course using the Flatpak command, which is right here. Then we have this other option here called remote add. And the reason we're putting in remote add is because we want to add a repository. And we're going to do tac not exist if not exist, because we want to make sure that it only installs it if it does not already exist. We're going to give it the name FlatHub. You can give it whatever name you want. I'm just doing that to make sure I know exactly what this one is for. And then we're going to go ahead and put the location of the repository file as a link there. Now, one thing that we're also going to want to go ahead and do here is we're going to come over here, and in front of if not user, we're going to do, I'm sorry, if not exist, we're going to do tac user. And the reason we want to go ahead and do this is because we only want to add this for the user. Now, if you don't put in the tac user, you're going to have to use sudo and you're going to install it system wide. So just keep that in mind. There's no like right or wrong reason. It's just I only need it for myself. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. So I don't have to use it with sudo commands when I'm doing things. So let's go ahead and hit enter. All right, there we go. And it has added, we're going to clear that out. We're going to do Flatpak remotes. And there we go. We can see FlatHub is added, and it does specify it's only for the user. If this was a system-wide, it would say system versus user. So just wanted to give you a little bit of insight there. And again, if you do want to add it system-wide, you will need the sudo command. Because I was only at it for myself, it's going to allow me to do that. And that's one of the beauties of Flatpak. All right, so now if you wanted to go ahead and delete, that remote repository. Whoops, sorry there for that random cut. I had to go let my cat in the room because she would have just kept messing with the door, and you might see her tail kind of flopping in and out of shots because she has this thing lately where she just wants to walk all over my desk as I am doing things. So let's go ahead and talk about removing a remote repository. So what we would do is we would just do the same thing. The only difference here is we don't need this one, right? We can get rid of this. And we're going to leave user. We're going to do remote delete. And then we're going to just come over here and we're going to put our name in there, FlatHub, or the name that we called it. And it's going to go ahead and remove that. We go over here and do Flatpak remotes. It has been deleted. So I'm going to go ahead and just go back in here and add this again, because we are going to be installing some packages from Flatpak. So we have it back there again. So let's just go ahead and we can see it there again. All right. Clear that out. And the next thing that we're going to go ahead and do here is we want to go ahead and do a search for a package. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Flatpak search. And we're going to do search, and we're going to just type in GIMP, because that's what we want to go ahead and install here. Now, the first time it does a search, it may take a little bit longer to actually get everything updated because it's searching for the first time. All right, so it's got a few pieces of information here. Now, when it comes to installing a Flatpak, is you can do it one of two ways. Is you can either do it by the name, which is right here, and sometimes they're long, sometimes they're short, or you can do the application ID. So the one that we actually want to look for is this one. Now, let me point out something here. I'm just going to copy this. Is you see these like three dots, these, I forget if they're, I don't think they're still called ellipses. I forget what they're called. But like if it was like a three dots kind of in the middle of the sentence, it would be like an ellipsis. But these right here just indicate that there is something else that goes along there. So you may need to zoom out in order to get that information. We're not going to do that here because I already can see the one for the one that we need here. So we've already copied that. So let's go ahead and clear this out, because now what we want to go ahead and do is we want to go ahead and install it. So let's go ahead and clear that out. Let's do a Flatpak install, and then we're going to pipe in what we put there. I'm just going to paste it. All right, and that's the one we want to do here. We use the application ID because the name was cut off. And this is only going to install it for me, because I only have it set up for myself, and it's not prompting me for sudo. If I wanted to install it over system-wide, I'd have to use sudo, and we don't want to do that. And what it's basically doing here is it's saying, hey, here's the permissions, and it's also going to install all this other stuff. Now, depending on the application, like it might take a while for this all to come in, because it's quite a bit. Like, right, like we've got all this stuff over here. It's got to install the platform. It's got to install all these other platforms and stuff like that to be able to go ahead and install GIMP. So just be patient with it. We're going to go ahead and hit yes. It's got 7 different things that it's going to install. And we can see here, and it'll get through most of this stuff pretty quickly. And you'll see the sizes here. Don't be alarmed by those sizes. Again, check out that previous video that I did, and it explains the sizes here, because you're probably like, whoa, 148 megabytes, 15 megabytes. And keep in mind, like, right, like in most modern storage, like megabytes, multiple megabytes, or hundreds of megabytes is nothing really too much to scoff at. But, the thing about it is, when we're talking about multiple programs being installed, is, it can be quite a bit. I'm just gonna take myself off here just for a second because we can see here that we've got all this information here. So how long it took, or I'm sorry, like what was downloaded and all that jazz is all in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring myself back onto the screen. All right, perfect. So we've actually gone ahead and installed it. And if we clear this out, and if we do Flatpak list, this is going to go ahead and show us everything that we've got installed, and it needed all this other stuff to be able to install GIMP, but GIMP is right here. GNU image manipulation program. This is the actual application. Everything else is going to be needed. Now, one of the things I want to point out here is something that's slightly different with Fedora versus using this distribution, is that when we're talking about using the list command, is here, it's going to show us all of our applications that we have installed. Now, if you do it just like this on Fedora, it's only going to list by default, it will list the application and runtimes installed. If you only want on Fedora, if you only want the applications and not the runtimes, and that's pretty much what's going on here, right? Like it's just doing this, is you can use TAC app. And this is when we're talking about Fedora. We're not talking about Ubuntu, because if you notice here, well, it also works here. So yeah, and that can be one of the differences. And I don't know why it didn't do it earlier when I did this, but yeah, there we go. See, here we go. This lists runtimes and applications, and then if you just put in TAC app, it'll just list just the application. So perfect. Now, if you want to go ahead and uninstall, you can do the same thing. We're just going to copy this right here. I can't remember if I have it copied or not. We're going to do Flatpak uninstall, and we're going to just type in, we're just going to go ahead and put this in there. And it's like, hey, do you want to do this? Yep, I do want to do that. So then if we come back up here to Flatpak, it's going to still have all that, right? But if we do the one with the app, it's not going to be there. So we can see that there, and I know that my face is in the way of some of this stuff. And I apologize about the size. I did want to leave more information on screen for this video, so I was only able to zoom in so much without like losing too much of the information that was present on the screens, because that stuff's pretty important. So let's go ahead and clear this out. We're gonna go ahead and add GIMP back to the install. I'm sorry, to the system. Oops. Yep. See, this time, because it already has that stuff installed, it doesn't need to do it again. So it's just going to install GIMP. And if as they use the same runtimes and platforms, what you'll notice is that it's like, oh, hey, I don't need this. It's going to keep using the same one. So the more Flatpaks you use, the less space it's going to be used overall, because it'll be like, hey, I've got that platform over here, and I explained that in the previous video. So, all right. So, and if we do the application again, we can see that we do have, indeed, I'm just going to clear this out and do it again. We can see that we do have GIMP installed. So let's clear this out. If you want to go ahead and run it from the command, if you want to run that application from the command line, and it is a Flatpak, you would do Flatpak run, and then you would just do the application name. Let me get the application name. So let's go back here. You know what? Let's try it with the application ID. I can't remember if you can use the application ID or not. Let's try that. Let's do Flatpak run, and we're gonna just type it, and I'm gonna paste it in there. There we go, and there we go. We got it launching. See, there we go. Yep, you can use that. We're just gonna close that out. Like if you did it in the background, is all you would do is you would just do, instead of using run, you would just use kill, I believe is the one we use for that one. Yep, kill. I think I should have already killed it though, because I did do the control C. Yeah, see, it's not running, but if you had it like running in the background or something like that, or or you just suppressed output, is you would just kill it like that. It's one of the ways you can kill them. Or maybe say like you're like, hey, I'm in the command line, but I still have I launched the application from my graphical user interface. Yeah, you could always just kill it this way if you want to use that. So it's already dead, so we don't really need to worry about that. Yeah, and the one cool thing is that Flatpak does have man pages, which is great. And man, Flatpak. And one of the cool things is if you go down here for just it gives you some basics here in the command for just Flatpak, some basic stuff. But if you want to go ahead and look up the different like install, Flatpak install, uninstall is if you just kind of scroll down here, as you can see, what you'll do is you'll just do man, and then you'll do Flatpak hyphen whatever that is. So let's go ahead and queue out of that. I want to show you one more command here as far as Flatpak goes. Is we're going to do Flatpak history. And what this is going to do is it's going to show us a history of all the changes we've made. And we've kind of been going a little buck wild here on the application. I'm sorry, not only on the applications, but also just install, remove this and that. But it keeps a whole history here, which is pretty handy. So let's clear that out. We've got rid of that. Now, what I wanted to also do is I wanted to go ahead and show you from the graphical user interface. So I'm going to go ahead and I've got a Fedora machine here. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put in the password. And here we've already got Discover, which is the software center here on Fedora, KDE. This is the KDE spin of it. Now, once you locate the package that you want to install, it's going to give you some options. So here if we go into GIMP, which is right here, up here at the top, where it gives you the actual options here is you can just do install. And what we can do here is we can choose if we want to do it from the actual Fedora repository, Fedora Linux, or you can do it from Fedora Flatpaks. So depending on which one you do, you can just do it like that. And then what you do is you just come over here and hit install. It's pretty straightforward, especially using it from the graphical user interface. That's the great thing about Linux is it's just these days, there's just so many different ways to do stuff through the graphical user interface, whereas in the past you had to go and do a lot of stuff from the command line. So yeah, Flatpaks do make installing packages so easy. Comparing the commands for Flatpaks compared to most package managers, Flatpak is significantly easier to use. Like if you're just thinking about using apps, you're just like, if you've used it for a while, you're just like, oh man, I've got to use this for this and that for that. So I feel like it's pretty easy to use. Now, one thing you're going to want to do is make sure to check out this other video from my channel. It's popping up here on the screen here in just a moment. Remember, mistakes make you better, so keep on making them. Thank you so much for watching my video, leaving your comments and your super thanks, and have the greatest of days.